Stephen from X Interact here with a review for a 2.5D platform puzzle game called Flat Kingdom. Let's get into it. Grain of salt for Flat Kingdom. 31-year-olds, probably not the target audience. Want to also mention a thank you to Radaleka Games for giving us a copy of the game for review. Let's talk about the pros of Flat Kingdom. The art style is striking and colorful and kind of reminds me a little bit of Paper Mario and like a pop-up book. It has a cool rock, paper, scissors shape-shifting mechanic, as you swap between forms to solve different puzzles and boss encounters. And the bosses seem to be a highlight for me at least. For $8, I was kind of surprised to see some of these pros. Now let's talk about the cons, and unfortunately there probably are a few more than the pros. There seems to be an audio mix issue with the sound effects, as sometimes they can be a bit grating, like arrows repeatedly shooting against the wall. The controls in the game seem very loose, oftentimes not doing what I want them to do, and in combat you have a moment where you're kind of just mashing buttons and matching whatever kind of works in boss fights especially. You get upgrades from defeating the bosses for your transformation powers, but unfortunately they seem to complicate the system, which is really only fit, it seems like, for simple mechanics. Level design, I feel like, kind of goes hand in hand with the controls problem, in that because there's a problem with controls being loose and not really what I want them to do, the intent behind the levels doesn't come through, and so some of the puzzles just end up getting frustrating to actually execute. They're never difficult, they're super easy, and they are kind of creative, and yet the actual solving of them just ends up being frustrating. All this being said, I didn't actually finish the entire game, so take that with a grain of salt. Let's round it out with my final closing thought on this. It's a fair game. It's $8. It's kind of designed for kids, I believe, and some of the puzzles are kind of cool, but ultimately it ends up being frustrating and maybe not worth your time if you're looking for a better 2D platformer or Paper Mario. This has been Steven from X Interact. Thank you for watching, and look out for more reviews on the channel.